Alright, welcome guys. We're here with a break 167. Change our screens. There we go. You can't really see him, but Dad's there. He's about to rip into the mini starter cases. We have our 22 Traders Priority, our 21 Traders Priority, and our 21 Traders Hobby Boxes. We'll get back to them after we finish our 22 Traders case, which is over there, hiding over there. Team list for today: Broncos, Robert Kelly. We have Raiders, Bulldogs and Sharks for EMAD. Titans for Robert Kelly. Manly, Storm, Knights, Cowboys for EMAD. Eels for Craig Hyde. Panthers for EMAD. Rabbitohs for Nathan Tones. Dragons, Roosters, Warriors and Tigers for EMAD. So EMAD was nice enough to finish off the break for us, fill it up and fill the Raz out at the same time. So a big shout out. Yeah, that was, I did forget that. It was there, but Kimmy's probably stolen it.
Did you take the bin? Yeah.
I didn't, I forgot the bin, my bad guys. It was just behind me, I knew where it was, and it's gone missing. But here we are, thanks Dad, Dad's onto it. Alright, so we are ready to go. Don't forget to say hi if you're watching. Dry Arrow, Blue Star Tunes for the Rabbitohs. Number 87 out of 150, a Valentine Holmes Pink Star Tunes. For the Cowboys, oops, 187. We have a Blue Star Tune, another Dry Arrow. That was quick for the Rabbits. The packets don't seem to be too bad collated. Is that how it's said? Yeah, collated. But the starter packs seem to be a bit doubled up at times. Another Pink Star Tunes, 104. Harry Grant for the Storm. .104. I don't think the numbers show up too well on the camera. Thanks for that. Dad's done. Alright. Ooh, we've got a black, number 60. Toby Rudolph for the Sharks. Alright. Martin Zalesniak, Power Heroes Blue for the Warriors. Power Heroes Green, number 143. Oh, header A. So that'll be randomised between the relevant teams. Number 45 out of 150, Daniel Saifiti, Power Heroes Pink for the Knights. Power Heroes Blue, header B. Our Heroes Blue, Brian To'o for Panthers. And if you're a local on the Gold Coast, or don't have to be extremely local, if you want to make a drive tomorrow, luncheon for Brett Horsnell, Burley Bears. Tommy Talau, Power Heroes Blue for the Tigers. We have the post up, check it out. It has been rescheduled months before to tomorrow. Nick Kotrick, Power Heroes Blue for the Bulldogs. We are paying half the ticket on your behalf, so it'll only cost you $45. That includes lunch, entertainment. Tony Staggs, Power Heroes Blue for the Broncos. We do need to confirm the details. We haven't heard anything about it for a little while, so we're going to check that out today. So if you're interested, inbox us, let us know. Junior Paulo, Power Heroes Blue for the Eels. Power Heroes Blue, Dylan Watine Zelezniak for the Warriors. Power Heroes Blue, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Power Heroes B, Blue, that's another one. Power Heroes Pink 127 as Junior Paulo for the Eels. And that's it. Alright, so we'll get into these packets. Power Heroes, Nick Kotrick for the Bulldogs. Dragons Parallel Checklist. Rising Stars, Valemi Vile for the Warriors. Harry Grant, Parallel for Storm. Season to Remember, Sam Williams for the Raiders. Jason Saab, Parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. David Tyler, Parallel for the Rabbits. High Performance, Reece Walsh for the Warriors. Jack Hetherington, Parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to Remember, Jack Hetherington for the Bulldogs. Titans Parallel Checklist. We've got 3 spots left in the 8-spot Pick Your Team Draft Pick 22 Elite Case Priority Combo Break. Heel and Lukey, Club Heroes for the Cowboys. Daly Cherry Evans, Parallel for Manly. Don't forget, if you are going in one of the 22 Elite Combo Breaks pre-sale, you have the opportunity to add a album and full base set to your break spot for $30. That does not include the album card. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Milwaukee Fotowaka, Parallel for the Titans. So I reckon that deal with the album and that in the first few breaks, it's an awesome way to start the collection. Rising Stars, Valemi Avile for the Warriors. Storm Parallel Checklist. If your team's still available, you get your team cards for that break, plus you get a second team. Maybe you collect multiple teams. Otherwise, you get some trade bait to try and trade with other people. Broncos Parallel Checklist. Season to remember, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Matt Moylan, Parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Valami Kickow for the Panthers. Had a mental blank one. Difficult to forget Kickow. Jones Fisher Harris, Parallel for Panthers. Master and Apprentice, Herbie Farnworth for the Broncos. Jaden Brayley, Parallel for the Knights. Club Heroes, Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. Jake Trbojevic, Parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Jack Whiten, Parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Titans Parallel Checklist. Zach Lomax, Parallel for the Dragons. Team High Performance for the Raiders. Luke Thompson, Parallel for the Bulldogs. Another Team High Performance for the Broncos. Jeremy Marshall King, Parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Lachlan Croker, Parallel for Manly. Creator. 125 out of 125. James Tedesco for the Roosters. Thomas Burgess, Parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbitohs. Jesse Bromwich, Parallel for Storm. High Performance, Michael Sivo for the Eels. David Fafita, Parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Adam Dewey, parallel for Tigers. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Alexander. Sorry. No, I'll almost finish the packets and I'll just use the first box. Season to remember, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Nathan Brown, parallel for Eels. Master Apprentice Black, Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Big Tino, parallel for Titans. High Performance, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Cody Nicarima, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Jake Clifford, parallel for Knights. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Thomas Burgess, parallel. Season to remember, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Oh, another creator for the Titans. Close to the number, 123 out of 125 for the Titans. Alexander Brimson. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Master Apprentice, Corey Oates for the Broncos. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Brian To'o, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Hammer Fido for the Cowboys. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. High Performance for the Sharks, William Kennedy and Connor Tracy. Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. We'll times that by 2. High Performance, William Kennedy and Connor Tracy. And Jordan Ricky, parallel for the Broncos. Tony Staggs, Power Heroes for the Broncos. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Master and Apprentice, Matt Dory for the Bulldogs. Sione Katoa, parallel for the Sharks. Master and Apprentice and Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Sharks parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Kyle Felt, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. James Tarmo, parallel for Tigers. Don't forget, most breaks at the moment, except for the 8-spot breaks, are listed on the website. So you can use all our payment options such as Hum, Afterpay, Zip Pay, PayPal, bank deposit, whichever suits you. Plenty of options there now. High Performance for the Titans. David for Feeder. Regan Campbell Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Season to Remember, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Rivalry is still coming, guys. 11th, 13th of July. I think it's expected around then. We do have the boxes on pre-sale. Rising Stars, Ben Jabojevic for Manly. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Jake Granville, parallel for Cowboys. Jake Averillo, parallel for Bulldogs. Alexander Brinson, parallel Power Heroes for the Titans. Josh Kerr, parallel for Dragons. We have 3 packets left from the starter packs, and then we will open our case and find out what our case card is for today. Rising Stars, Rumour Grigg for the Eels. Manly parallel checklist. Harry Grant, Power Heroes for Storm. Jared Rera Hargreaves, parallel for the Roosters. Season to Remember, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Justin Olam, parallel for Storm. And that's it, that's all for the parallels. Alright, so we'll get this case open. Guy that's been hiding over here. Number 10 out of 30, Andrew McCulloch for the Dragons. seeing this stuff at the moment. What's going on? Dragons with EMAD. Alright, so let's get these boxes out. Alright. Then we'll open these boxes out of the case, and then we'll do our 22 Traders Priority, 21 Traders Priority. Randomise any cards that need randomising. Fingers crossed, Legend Sig. Well, we've still got multiple chances. We've also got Mark Graham and Laurie Daly from last year. So let's get into it. See what we can find. No good talking about it. Come on, we'll get into it. Not these, just here. Right, let's go. Rising Stars, Durham and Moisey for the Knights. Cohen Hess, parallel for the Cowboys. Club Heroes, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Chanel Harris Davida, parallel for the Warriors. High Performance, Josh Adokar for Storm. Angus Crichton, parallel for Roosters. Rising Stars, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Christian Welsh, parallel for the Storm. Season to remember, Alex Glenn for the Broncos. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Jordan Rapana for the Raiders. Jack Hetherington, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. Raiders parallel checklist. Jared Wallace, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbits. High Performance, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Corey Waddell, parallel for Bulldogs. Power Heroes, header A. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. So we'll randomise any cards the way they come out. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Oh. Eels, number 177, Premiership Predictor. $177. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Team High Performance for the Warriors. Titans Parallel Checklist. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Master and Apprentice Black, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Thank you. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. Season to remember, Chad Townsend for the Sharks. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Katoni Staggs, parallel for Broncos. High Performance, Matt Burton for Panthers. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Josh Papali, Power Heroes for the Raiders. David Nofaluma, parallel for the Tigers. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Junior Paulo, Power Heroes for the Eels. Parallel for the Eels, sorry. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for Panthers. Jack Bird, parallel for Dragons. Season to remember, Addo Carr for the Storm. Valentine Holmes, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters, and Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. High Performance, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters, Harry Grant, parallel for Storm. Master and Apprentice, Jake Arthur for the Eels. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Greg Marsu for the Titans. Tyson Gamble, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Isaiah Papali'i for the Eels. Toby Rudolph, parallel for Sharks. Stefano Utokamanu, parallel for Tigers. 4th last packet for this box. Rising Stars, Trent LaRoe for the Storm. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Master and Apprentice, Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Dragons, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Last but not least, for the pack, season to remember, Matt Duffy for the Dragons. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Alright, box number 2. Rising Stars, Valemi Violet for the Warriors. Kevin Proctor, parallel for Titans. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Team High Performance for the Eels. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Don't forget, if you missed the break, team pictures will be up in the Facebook group. Jack Whiten, parallel for the Raiders. They will be posted in the comments of the break post. Tyrell Sloan, Rising Stars for the Dragons. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Panthers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for Broncos. Brett Morris, retirements for the Roosters. We also have a Wade Graham, parallel for the Sharks. High performance, Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Master Apprentice, Kevin Proctor for the Titans. Clint Gutherson, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Sam Williams for the Raiders. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for the Panthers. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, Jesse Bromwich for the Storm. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Tyson Frizzell, parallel for the Knights. Master Apprentice Black, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Storm parallel checklist. Master Apprentice, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Gally Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Mawaiki Fodawaika, parallel for the Titans. Jacob Saifiti, Club Heroes for the Knights. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbits. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Roosters parallel checklist. High performance, Lachlan Croker for Manly. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers. Daniel Saifiti, Power Heroes for the Knights. Herbie Farmworth, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Jordan Rapana, parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, Dejan Assey for the Cowboys. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Oh, nice. For the Roosters, Emad, number 14, Lindsay Collins, Black Sig. Right, number 14. Alex 12, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Hammer Fido for the Cowboys. Reed Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Bulldogs. High Performance, Mitch Rain for the Titans. Hammer Fido, parallel for the Cowboys. Our Heroes, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Knights, parallel checklist. Jerome Hughes, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for Broncos. Brian Kelly, parallel for Titans. Remy Grieg for the Eels. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. And last but not least for the box, High Performance, Reed Marnie for the Eels. Joe Stimson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Right. That wasn't a bad box. High Performance, Jordan Rapiner for the Raiders. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Only a few spots left in our 22 Traders 4 box break. $35 a spot. Nice cheap one. Master and Apprentice, Corey Oates for the Broncos. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Harley Smith Shields for the Raiders. Amoli Olaka'atu, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Jaden Brayley for the Knights. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Chukwamea Simpkins for the Tigers. Elijah Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. Club Heroes, Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Blake Ferguson for the Eels. Tessie New, parallel for Broncos. Ronaldo Muatalo, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Tyson Smoothie for Storm. Tommy Talau, parallel for Tigers. High Performance, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Power Heroes, Kieran Foran for Manly. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Franklin Pele for the Sharks. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Foil Sig, Bailey Simonson for the Raiders, number 204. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Corey Norman for the Dragons. Elise Kafusi, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights. Tarek Sims, parallel for the Dragons. High Performance, Payne Huss for the Broncos. Aaron Clark, parallel for the Titans. Toby Rudolph, Power Heroes for the Sharks. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Josh Jackson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Keenan Peltsia for the Broncos. Ryan Sutton, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Eels parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. Joseph Suwali, parallel for the Roosters. High Performance, Will Hopawate for the Bulldogs. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Payne Haas, parallel for Broncos. Right. Team High Performance for the Titans. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Luke Brooks, parallel for the Tigers. What did we get? Got foil sig this box. I don't think we've had the black Master and Apprentice. We may have. We might have missed it. Kieran Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. Nope. Oh, I think that's it. Nope. Tigers, Master and Apprentice. James Starmo. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Paul Penasini for the Eels. Chans Nicole Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Talator Amon for the Dragons. Don Martin Zelezniak, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Master Apprentice Black, Isaac Tago for the Panthers. Apasai Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Jake Turpin, parallel for the Broncos. And that finishes off box number 3. Straight into box number 4. If you missed the beginning, we have done the mini starter case already. Superman Simpkins, yeah, Rising Stars for the Tigers. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Luke Brooks, Club Heroes for Tigers. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Master Apprentice, Josh Papali for the Raiders. Felice Kafusi, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Harley Smith Shields for the Raiders. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Albert Kelly for the Broncos. Aaron Clark, parallel for Titans. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels. Josh Jackson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Jordan Ricky, parallel for the Broncos. Sharks parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Tyson Smoothie for the Storm. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Sharks. High Performance, Josh Hodgson for the Raiders. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. High Performance, Reece Robson for the Cowboys. Nathan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Darren Martin Zalesniak, Power Heroes for the Warriors. Mikhail Ravaloa, parallel for the Dragons. Franklin Pillay, Rising Stars for Sharks. Kyle Felt, parallel for Cowboys. Benji Marshall, retirements for the Rabbitohs. Jaden Braley, parallel for the Knights. Payne Haas, parallel for Broncos. Master Apprentice Black. Cooper Johns for the Storm. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Ewan Aiken for the Warriors. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for Storm. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. High Performance, Jake Turpin for the Broncos. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Power Heroes, James Tedesco for the Roosters. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Next card was a Jai Arrow base card. Corey Allen, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Keenan Palacia, Rising Stars for Broncos. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Matt Burton for Panthers. Eliza Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. High Performance, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Second Premiership predictor for the break, number 210 for the Roosters. (210). Tessie New, parallel for the Broncos. Oh, so what have we got? 5 packets left. Team High Performance for the Knights. Renato Molitalo, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Tommy Talau, parallel for the Tigers. 3 packets left. Master Apprentice, Tohu Harris for the Warriors. Ryan Sutton, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Talator Amon for the Dragons. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. Last but not least for box 4. Season to remember, Wade Graham for the Sharks. And Joseph Suwali, parallel for the Roosters. Box number 5. And obviously the mini starter case, about a box and a half, 2 boxes worth. '21 season to remember, Jake Averillo for the Bulldogs, Luke Thompson parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. Josh Papali parallel for the Raiders. Warriors parallel checklist. High performance, Brendan Smith. The Chiefs. James Tedesco parallel for the Roosters. Marston Apprentice, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Brian To'o parallel for the Panthers. Rising Stars, Greg Marshall for the Titans. Thomas Flegler parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Jeremy Moisey for the Knights. Valentine Holmes parallel for the Cowboys. Club Heroes, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Daniel Saifiti parallel for Knights. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Cameron Murray parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Harry Grant parallel for the Storm. Season to remember, Daniel Saifiti for the Knights. Jake Trbojevic parallel for Manly. Titans parallel checklist. Team high performance for the Roosters. Corey Thompson parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Tavita Totola parallel for the Rabbits. High performance, Andrew McCulloch for the Dragons. Jack Hetherington parallel for the Bulldogs. Brian To'o, Power Heroes for Panthers. Raiders parallel checklist. Jaden Sullivan, Rising Stars for the Dragons. Chanel Harris Tavita parallel for the Warriors. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Angus Crichton, parallel for Roosters. Season to remember, Daly Cherry Evans for Manly. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Tyson Gamble, parallel for Broncos. High Performance, Isaiah Yeo for Panthers. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Power Heroes, header B. Stefano Utikamanu, parallel for Tigers. Just a reminder that any of those randomisations that we have to do at the end, that would get done in the order that they come out. High Performance, Isaac Liu for the Roosters. Sometimes that can be a bit of a pain, but I think that's the fairest way to do it. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. When I say pain, it's a pain for me because I've got to keep chopping and changing my list, but that's okay. Oh, another foil sig. Mr. Jack Bird for the Dragons, 87. I like 87. It's my birth year. Yep, number 87, Jack Bird for the Dragons. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for Panthers. Dragons, parallel checklist. Season to remember, David Fafita for the Titans. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for the Tigers. Sione Katoa, parallel for the Sharks. Luciano Leilua, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Trent Moreau for the Storm. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Master and Apprentice, Jerome Hughes for the Storm. Zach Lomax, parallel for Dragons. Luke Metcalf, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Cowboys parallel checklist. Season to remember, Roger Tuivasa Sheck for the Warriors. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. And last but not least, for box number 4, Master Apprentice Black, Hamoli Olakaatu for Manly. Kenneth Bromwich, parallel for Storm. And that's it for box number 5. Alright, box number 6, almost halfway through the case. Club Heroes, Payne Haas for the Broncos. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. We have a double up. This one's slightly better numbered. Alexander Brimson's, the creator for Titans. Robert Kelly. There you go, mate. Gordon Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. So we got one of them in the mini starter case. We actually got 2 creators, a Tedesco and a Brimson. Team High Performance for the Panthers. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Roosters, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers. So we've got 1 retirement so far, I believe. No, 2. Morris and Benji. We've got both predictors. 2 foil 6, the black authentic 6, and the creator. We've still got 6 boxes to go in the case. Rising Stars, Ben Chaboyvich for Manly. Herbie Farnworth, parallel for Broncos. Maybe that means there's a Legacy in there. Probably can't have 6 straight retirement boxes. Rising Stars, Valami Avile, parallel for the Warriors. Corey Thompson, parallel for the Titans. Jesse Ryan, parallel for the Sharks. William Kennedy, Con Tracy, high performance for the Sharks. Alex Twal, parallel for the Tigers. Master Apprentice, Amoli Olakaatu for Manly. Reid Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Master Apprentice, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Hammerfido, parallel for Cowboys. Mr. Brimson seems popular in this break. Knights, parallel checklist. Master Apprentice Black, Kevin Proctor for the Titans. Joe Stimson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Hudson Young, parallel for Raiders. Oh. Rising Stars, Cody Hetherington for the Broncos. Luke Thompson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. High Performance, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Brian To'o, parallel for Panthers. Warriors, parallel checklist. Tony Staggs, Power Heroes for the Broncos. Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Sione Katoa, parallel for the Sharks. Luciano Leilua, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. High Performance, David Fafita for the Titans. Cowboys parallel checklist. I was even putting it in the right pile, I still said Knights. Shocker. Our heroes, Nick Kotrick for the Bulldogs. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. Kenny Bromwich, parallel for Storm. Matthew Tomoko, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Kevin Proctor, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Wirrama Grigg for the Eels. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbits. 3 packets left for box number 6 out of the case. High Performance, Mike Asivo for the Eels. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Brian Kelly, parallel for Titans. Yes, please. Rising Stars, Jeremy Moisey for the Knights. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Club Heroes, James Tedesco for the Roosters. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. The Roosters have done alright for EMAD today. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. Craig managing to score premiership predictor with his Eagles. High Performance, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Kenneth Bromwich, parallel for Storm. 3 creators so far. 2 of which Roberts with the Titans. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Got 2 creators out of the mini starter case. Tedesco and Brimson. And then we pulled another Brimson out of the case. Team High Performance for the Tigers. Kevin Proctor, parallel for Titans. Yeah. Xavier Savage, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. Season to remember, Alex Glenn for the Broncos. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Retirements, Blake Ferguson for the Eels. And we have a Corey Thompson, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Jack Bird, high performance for the Dragons. Luke Thompson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Tony Staggs, Power Heroes for the Broncos. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Warriors parallel checklist. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Thank you. Season to remember, Chad Townsend for the Sharks. Brian To'o, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Addo Carr for the Storm. Cowboys parallel checklist. High performance, Brian To'o for Panthers. Sione Katoa, parallel for the Sharks. Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Thomas Flegler, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Jordan Rapiner for the Raiders. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Bulldogs. A couple of tissues, please. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. Jordan Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for the Panthers. Zach Lomax, parallel for Dragons. Jazz Tavaga, parallel for the Warriors. High performance, Justin Olam for the Storm. Roosters parallel checklist. Master Apprentice, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Greg Marzhew for the Titans. Herbie Farnworth, parallel for Broncos. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Staying at the Eels he is. Season to remember, Isaiah Papali'i for the Eels. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Alex Twile, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Trent Moreau for the Storm. Reid Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Master Apprentice, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. 4 packets left for box number 7. Our heroes, Nick Kotrick for the Bulldogs. Luciano Leilua, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Hammett Fido, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Matt Duffy for the Dragons. Knights parallel checklist. And Master and Apprentice Black Jake Arthur for the Eels. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. And that's it for box number 7. Alright. I am just going to quickly mute. Alright, yeah, I just didn't feel comfortable blowing my nose completely on camera. I don't think everyone wanted to hear that. Box number 8. Yep, 9, 10. Yeah, my music stopped. All good. Just had a drink of coffee and then hit play on the music. Alright. Apposite Carousel, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Toby Sexton for the Titans. Jake Turpin, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Reid Marnie for the Eels. Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Dean Aremia for Storm. Tigers parallel checklist. High Performance, Damien Cook for the Rabbits. Micah Sivo, parallel for the Eels. Andrew McCulloch, parallel for the Dragons. Team High Performance for the Sharks. Cohen Hess, parallel for the Cowboys. High Performance, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Teague Wilton for the Sharks. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Zach Lomax for the Dragons. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Master and Apprentice, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Corey Waddell, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Brett Morris for the Roosters. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Jared Wallace, parallel for Titans. High Performance, Jaden Brayley for the Knights. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoup for the Bulldogs. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Master and Apprentice, Isaiah Yeo for Panthers. Tony Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Adam Reynolds for the Rabbitohs. David Nofaluma, parallel for the Tigers. Master and Apprentice Black, Josh Papali for the Raiders. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. William Kennedy, Club Heroes for Sharks. Luke Brooks, parallel for Tigers. My partner cracked me up yesterday afternoon, getting ready to set herself up to watch Origin. Rising Stars, Taylor May for Panthers. Yeah. She didn't believe me at first that it was on Sunday. Eels parallel checklist. I don't know where she's been. Like, it's been everywhere that it's on Sunday. She just pays attention to what she wants to pay attention to. Rising Stars, Heel and Lukey for the Cowboys. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Ryan Pappenhausen for the Storm. Tarek Sims, parallel for Dragons. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Hey, hey, hey. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. If you know, you know. Season to remember, Jared Croker for the Raiders. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Chance Nico Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Wade Egan for the Warriors. Darwin Watine Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. Power Heroes, Jai Arrow for the Rabbits. Hamali Olaka'atu, parallel for Manly. Dabby Mole, Rising Stars for the Rabbits. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. And last but not least, for box number 8, Power Heroes, Junior Paulo for the Eels. Sartili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Alright, box number 9, guys. Here we go. So just to recap, we've done the mini starter case. We're up to box number 9 in the full case. We have our 2 priority boxes to do after we finish this. Alright. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. So I believe, I could be wrong, I believe we're still looking for the white sig, guys. Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. High performance, William Kennedy for the Sharks. James Tamo, parallel for the Tigers. So I'm expecting a white sig and 3 retirements. Let's see how good I am. Master and Apprentice, Jake Trebojevic for Manly. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Josh Kerr, parallel for Dragons. Season to remember, Alexander Brinson for the Titans. Jake Granville, parallel for Cowboys. Jake Clifford, parallel for Knights. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Justin Olam, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Joe Stimson, parallel for Bulldogs. Season to remember, Joseph Solali for the Roosters. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Master and Apprentice, Matt Moylan for the Sharks. Manly parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. David Fafita, parallel for Titans. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbits. Master and Apprentice Black, Matt Moylan for the Sharks. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Valemi Vile for the Warriors. Brian Kelly, parallel for Titans. Jordan Rapana, Club Heroes for the Raiders. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Clint Gufferson, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Wade Graham, parallel for the Sharks. Dane Laurie, parallel for Tigers. Power Heroes, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. High Performance, Milwaukee Fodawaka for the Titans. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for Cowboys. Tommy Talau, Power Heroes for the Tigers. Tyson Frizzell, parallel for the Knights. Trent Merrin, retirements for the Dragons. Storm, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Gally Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Season to Remember, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Milwaukee Fodawaka, parallel for Titans. Oh, what you said. Rising Stars, Rumi Grigg for the Eels. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. High Performance, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Panthers parallel checklist. Sixth last packet in box number 8. 9, box number 9, sorry. High Performance, Clint Gutherson for the Eels. Jake Averillo, parallel for Bulldogs. So we have these last few packets. 3 more boxes from the case and the 2 priority boxes left to go. Jack Whiten, parallel for the Raiders. Team High Performance for the Rabbitohs. Cody Nikorima, parallel for Warriors. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Jared Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Season to Remember, Tommy Turbo. Valami Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Last but not least, for box number 9. Rising Stars, Ben Jabojevic for Manly. And our Broncos parallel checklist. Alright. I wonder if we'll see a Shaq Mitchell Rising Stars next year for the Rabbits. Alright, so box number 10 out of the case. High performance, Xavier Coates for Broncos, the Dave Fafita, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Chukwamea Simpkins for the Tigers, Cody Nicarima, parallel for Warriors. Club Hero, Jesse Bromwich for Storm. Whoop. Jared Rea Hargraves, parallel for Roosters. Titans, Rising Stars, Jaden Campbell. Lama Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Blake Ferguson for the Eels. Broncos parallel checklist. Matt Moylan parallel for the Sharks. Jeremy Marshall King parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for Raiders. Season to remember, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu for the Bulldogs, Victor Radley parallel for the Roosters. Tyson Smoothie, Rising Stars for Storm, James Tarmo parallel for Tigers. High Performance, Kyle Felt for the Cowboys. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Power Heroes, Harry Grant for the Storm. Josh Kerr, parallel for Dragons. Rising Stars, Franklin Pillay for the Sharks. Jake Granville, parallel for Cowboys. Alexander Brimson, Power Heroes for the Titans. Thomas Burgess, parallel for Rabbits. High Performance, Nick Meaney for the Bulldogs. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Jordan Ricky, parallel for Broncos. Team High Performance for Manly. Sharks parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi to the Cowboys, Adam Dewey parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs, Nathan Brown parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights, Mikhail Ravalawa parallel for Dragons. Kyle Felt parallel for Cowboys. High Performance and Jordan Ravana for the Raiders. Jaden Brayley parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors. Manly parallel checklist. Master and Apprentice, Herbie Farnworth for the Broncos. Jesse Bromwich parallel for the Storm. Harley Smith Shields, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Lachlan Croker parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Jaden Brayley for the Knights. Big Tino parallel for Titans. Jai Arrow parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Corey Norman for the Dragons. Justin Olam parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels. Corey Allen parallel for the Bulldogs. Master and Apprentice, Stefano Utikamanu for the Tigers. Joseph Tapine parallel for the Raiders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 packets left for box number 10 in the case. Rising Stars, Salvatore Amon for the Dragons. Elijah Katoa parallel for the Warriors. Retirement, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Jay Clifford, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Master Apprentice Blake Taft for the Rabbits. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Tessie New, parallel for Broncos. And that's the end of box 10. fourth last box of the break, or the fourth last one that we opened. The fifth one being the 21 Traders Hobby Box, which is actually randomised between all 16 spots. Somebody gets to go on the hunt for the Laurie Daly and Mark Graham signature at home. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Box number 11, guys, out of the case. Toby Sexton, Rising Stars for Titans. Payne Huss, parallel for Broncos. Pretty sure we're still looking for the white and authentic. Season to remember, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Dean Irenia for the Storm. Luke Brooks, parallel for the Tigers. High Performance, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Eels, parallel checklist. Master and Apprentice, Joseph Sulali for the Roosters. Bulldogs, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. Charles Nicol Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Brian To'o for Panthers. Dallin Latine Zalesniak, parallel from the Warriors. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. High Performance, Amari Tuala for the Knights. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoup for the Bulldogs. Apasai Carousel, parallel for Panthers. Master and Apprentice, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Jake Turpin, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Hill and Lukey for the Cowboys. CSC for Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Master and Apprentice, Black, James Tamo for the Tigers. Mike Sivo, parallel for the Eels. Team High Performance for the Raiders. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, T. Wilton for the Sharks. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Amali Olaka'atu, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Taylor May for Panthers. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. High Performance, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Felice Kafusi, parallel for Storm. Power Heroes, Kieran Foran for Manly, and Kieran Foran parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Dabby Mole for the Rabbitohs, and Aaron Clark parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Ronaldo Mulatalo parallel for Sharks. Big Tino parallel Club Heroes for Titans. Tony Talau parallel for Tigers. Curtis Sirenen, retirement for Manly. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Season to remember with Jack Hetherington for the Bulldogs. Josh Jackson parallel for the Bulldogs. Jake Simpkin, Rising Stars for the Tigers. Ryan Sutton parallel for the Raiders. We've got 5 packets left in our second last box from the case. High Performance, Reece Welsh for the Warriors. Ewan Aiken parallel for the Warriors. Andrew Kite parallel for the Dragons. Toby Rudolph, Power Heroes for the Sharks. Joseph Suwali, parallel for the Roosters. 2 packets left for the box. Tarek Sims, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. And a Tigers parallel checklist to finish off box number 11. It's definitely one white seed per box, case, isn't it? Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's literally the only thing we haven't hit yet.
Oh, it should be hard. I don't guarantee you to read it.
No, that's right. I mean, realistically, we can't complain too much if we don't hit it.
Yeah, that's right. Once you've got
Oh no, the case did well itself anyway. I just haven't shown it. Season to remember, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys, Stefano Utokumanu for the Tigers, Master Apprentice, Daniel Tupou, Black for the Roosters, Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels, Dragons parallel checklist, team high performance for the Broncos, Valentine Holmes parallel for the Cowboys, Teague Wilton, Rising Stars for the Sharks, Daniel Saifiti parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Jack Hedrington for the Bulldogs, Corey Waddell parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Josh Curran for the Warriors and Harry Grant parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors and Jake Trbojevic parallel for Manly. Gold Coast Titans parallel checklist. High performance, David Clemmer for the Knights. David Totola parallel for the Rabbits. Master Apprentice, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters, Jack Hetherington parallel for the Bulldogs, Our Heroes header A. So I'm going to make an exception to my rule. We'll do that one before we do this one. This one will be last. Even after we'll do the hobby box before we do that one. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. If you didn't know, now you should. Rising Stars, Davey Mull for the Rabbits. Jared Wallace, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. Raiders, parallel checklist. Venus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoup for the Bulldogs. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Marston Apprentice, Cody Walker for the Rabbits. Tyson Gamble, parallel for the Broncos. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Cohen Hess, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters, Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. High Performance, Alex Twal for the Tigers. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. So we're over halfway through our last box for the case. Still 2 priority boxes to go. Rising Stars, Taylor May for Panthers, Micah Sivo, parallel for Eels. Season to remember, Jaden Campbell for the Titans, Andrew Cullett, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Isaiah Papali'i, Club Heroes for the Eels. Tigers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Roger Tuivasa Sheck for the Warriors. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Our Heroes, Josh Papali'i for the Raiders. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. See, I'm confused with Josh Papali'i. I don't know. Graham Luai, parallel for Panthers. Toby Sexton, Rising Stars for the Titans. Tony Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Dean Iremia, Rising Stars for Storm. David Nofaluma, parallel for Tigers. High Performance, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Junior Paulo, parallel for Eels. Well, there it is. Ewan Aiken, White Authentic, number 99 for the Warriors. Almost at the last packet, third last, number 99. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. 2 packets left. Rising Stars, Heelan Lukey for the Cowboys. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Brian Totter. And Chanel Harris-Tavita, parallel for the Warriors. Alright, let's clean these ones up. Alright, so 22 Traders Priority. Second last box for the break. Rumi Grieg, Rising Stars for the Eels. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Dylan Watine Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. High Performance, Marcus Sevo for the Eels. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Well, another creator, not a double. Adam Dewey for the Tigers, number 56. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. First priority hit, number 34, Team High Performance for the Broncos. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Tony Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, Tommy Turbo for Manly. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Upside Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Sorry about that, guys. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. David Nofaluma, parallel for Tigers. Tommy Turbo, High Performance for Manly. CSF Talakai, Parallel for Sharks. Master and Apprentice, Corey Oates for the Broncos. David Tyler, Parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Jack Henrington, Parallel for the Bulldogs. Harry Grant, Power Heroes for the Storm. Tigers, Parallel Checklist. Rising Stars, Dejan Assey for the Cowboys. Marcus Sivo, Parallel for the Eels. Season to Remember, Jaden Ockenball for the Bulldogs. Raiders, Parallel Checklist. Master and Apprentice, a black, number 23 out of 23, Emery Cooler for the Raiders. Number 23, Chanel Harris Tavita, Parallel for the Warriors. Angus Crichton, Parallel for the Roosters. Andrew McCulloch, Parallel for the Dragons. Season to Remember, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Cohen Hess, Parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Lemmy Avale for the Warriors. Bulldogs, Parallel Checklist. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Jacob Saifiti, Parallel for the Knights. High Performance, David Fafita for the Titans. Christian Welsh, Parallel for the Storm. Power Heroes, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Tommy Turbo, Parallel for Manly. Jared Wallace, Parallel for Titans. Harley Smith Shields, Club of Heroes for the Raiders. Charles Nicole Klokstad, Parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Cody Walker, Parallel for the Rabbits. Season to Remember, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Corey Waddell, Parallel for the Bulldogs. Junior Paulo, Parallel for the Eels. Julian Kennedy, Connor Tracy for the Sharks, Jack Bird parallel for the Dragons. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 packets left for our last 22 Traders box, which of course is our 22 Traders Priority. Master Apprentice Matt Dory for the Bulldogs, Valentine Holmes parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs, Jake Turbin for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers, Daniel Saifiti parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Alexander Brimson for the Titans, Harry Grant parallel for the Storm. Second last packet, Jake Trbojevic parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters, and the Titans parallel checklist. That finishes off 22 Traders, guys. We have our 21 Traders Priority Box, and of course the bonus 21 Traders Hobby Box, which is randomised for one of you lucky people to open at home. Rising Stars, Max Feaguy for the Dragons, Adam Elliott parallel for the Bulldogs, Rising Stars, Bradman Best for the Knights, Tommy Turbo parallel for Manly, Season to remember, Benji Marshall for the Tigers, Tohu Harris parallel for the Warriors, Corey Oates parallel for Broncos, Isaac Loomy Loom, Rising Stars for the Storm, Sydney Roosters parallel checklist, Wildcard Ben Hunt for the Dragons, Josh Hodgson parallel for the Raiders, Fight Hero, Sean Johnson, number 22, type priority for the Sharks. For the 22, Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. James Sewer, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Caleb Akins for the Panthers. Ken Momalo, parallel for the Warriors. Wildcard, Luciano Leilua for the Tigers. Cameron McInnes, parallel for the Dragons. Streeter Black Moses Mbai for the Tigers. Josh Morris, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Jermaine Tanoi Brown for the Warriors. Sione Katoa, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Mitchell Dunn for the Cowboys. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Cody Ramsey for the Dragons. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. White Streeter Moses Mbai for the Tigers. Tanner Boyd parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars Xavier Coates for the Broncos. Zach Lomax parallel for the Dragons. Just off halfway for this box. Season to remember, Chanel Harris-Tavita for the Warriors. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Mitchell Orbison for the Roosters. Tommy Talau, parallel for the Tigers. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, the Josh Mansell for the Panthers. Oh, Luke Brooks, parallel for Tigers. Wade Graham, parallel for the Sharks. Luke Thompson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Wildcard, Will Hopewade for the Bulldogs. Philip Semi, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Dylan Brown for the Eels. Herbie Farmworth, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Bailey Sirenen for the Rabbits. Michael Morgan, parallel for the Cowboys. Wildcard, Boyd Cordner for the Roosters. Chance Nicole Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. Oilseed, Luciano Leilua for the Tigers. Oh, no wonder. Unnumbered last year for the Foil Sigs. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Startoons, Payne Huss for the Broncos. David Fusatua, parallel for Warriors. Team wildcard for the Cowboys. Number 2. There you go, Mr. Emad. Storm parallel checklist. Not sure how much you're into the 21 traders, if you've gotten that together yet, but nice low one to start it off. Adam Reynolds, season to remember for the Rabbits. Kurt Mann, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Palasa Farmasuli. Rising Stars for the Roosters. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. 5 packets left, guys. Train and Spry, Rising Stars for the Titans. Kenneth Bromwich, parallel for the Storm. Startoons, Adam Elliott for the Bulldogs. Will Hopewate, parallel for the Bulldogs. White Streeter, Knights, Mitchell Barnett. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. 2 packets to go. Rising Stars, Sean Blaw for the Tigers. Thomas Flagler, parallel for Broncos. Last packet for the break. Here we go. And unfortunately, just a parallel. Jack Whiten for the Raiders to finish us off. Alright. So, the only card that I haven't shown, which is randomised between everyone. Not a bad number. We have a Mr. Mal Meninga, and that's number 10. So that'll be randomised between all 16 spots. We'll randomise that one last after the 21 Traders Hobby Box. So we'll do them others in order as they come out, which is the green header A, we've got 2 blue headed Bs, and then our normal Power Heroes, 1 header A, 1 header B, 1 header A. So stay with us, we will flick over to random.org screen. I'm going to make sure I'm on that screen over there. No, I'm not. There we go. Alright, flick over. Alright, we're up. So header A is the Broncos tonight. Alright, so number 1, this is for the green header A, number 143. Number 2, number 3, Emad with the Raiders. Alright, next up we have a blue header B. We actually have 2 blue header Bs. Alright, so number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3 for the first one. Emad with the Cowboys. Alright, another header B. Number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Emad with the Cowboys again for that one. Alright, so next up we have our normal header A. number 1, number 2, number 3. EMAD with the Raiders. We have another header B. I should make it easy on myself and just do all the header A's and then all the header B's, but I think it's fairer doing it this way. 1, 2, 3. Craig Hyde with the Eels. Alright. We have one more header A. Alright. Number 1. Nope. Number 1. There we go. Number 2. Lucky last. Number 3. EMAD with the Storm. Right, now we have what happened? Okay, all done. We need all 16. This will be for the 21 Traders Hobby Box. And that's number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. EMAD with the Warriors for the box. And lucky last for the Mal Meninga, number 10. Nice low one. Alright, number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3, EMAD with the Panthers. Alright guys, that's it, that's all, and I will see you again soon.